Like there's there's no like preference for me. Like it was either De Anza or Foothill because I heard not a lot of good things about our community college, I would say. And then De Anza, I love De Anza because they said like it's kind of like useful there and not a lot of distraction, but at the same time, it's kind of like the Silicon Valley hub and stuff like that. And so I really want to go into tech as well. So I decided to go De Anza. And okay, what's the other question?
And how was your experience in De Anza? What did you do?
Okay, so at De Anza, I actually really enjoyed my time at De Anza. I couldn't imagine like how 2 years actually passed by so fast. Like, yeah, I still couldn't imagine it. Like now I'm senior, I feel like I'm still a freshman. And I guess at De Anza, one of the most memorable is like being able to meet a lot of friends, and I created lots of memories, and like I even found my best friends there. And when you join certain clubs, like you could expand your network, and that's the best thing I feel.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, thank you so much.
How about Michelle?
Yeah, I guess I never actually intended to go to college at first. So my initial plan was actually to go to Australia to study. And then things went south. And then I ended up choosing to go to college. And then I went through this counseling session where I seeked for advice on how I should continue my further education. So, and then I ended up choosing De Anza over Diablo Valley College, if you guys know DVC. The reason being De Anza is known for its high transfer rate too. So yeah, that's actually the initial reason why I chose De Anza. But of course, like my experience at De Anza was actually one of the most memorable ones. I actually also met my best friend there. Caitlin is one of my best friends. So fun fact, she's actually my housemate back at De Anza. Yeah. So yeah, we had a lot of fun at De Anza. And I feel like De Anza has all of the resources that we need. They provide a lot of clubs. You can even make your own club. So I think that's one of the best things about De Anza.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, right.
So for me, I actually know Christy and Michelle both kaya like personally because we both like we went to the same school, and like I met Christy. She works in the international student counseling office. So that's pretty cool. Like De Anza provides like a lot of opportunities for international students to work, which is really great. My reason of going to De Anza would be because I didn't graduate high school back in my home country. So the only option for me is going to college in order for me to go to university, since in my country we have like a program in which like we can use our IGCSEs to go to college. So I picked De Anza because like Michelle, De Anza is well known for the high transfer rates. So my initial goal is going to Berkeley as well, but yeah, I got rejected, which is pretty sad, but it's okay. So I went to UCI for like my second best option, but it's actually pretty nice here too. So don't feel sad if like you don't get accepted to the school that you want, because sometimes what you want is not always granted. So like just go with the flow and just enjoy your time while you're in uni before work and everything and the stress starts to pile up. So that's about it from me.
Thank you so much. That was really great. Nicole, do you want to ask another one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So, okay, so the next one is that I think everyone is somehow like concerned about their GPA, right? And what do you think about GPA? How did your GPA affect your transfer application, in your opinion? Anyone would like to go first?
Wait, can we go like in the reverse order then?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean like whoever is comfortable with, like you can.
Okay, so the transfer process in the Anza is actually pretty smooth because in the Anza, like they tell you like the I get C. So in order for you to transfer, there's this I get C form that you have to fill out with the requirement classes. And when you finish your I get C, it's pretty much like you can transfer to any UC or Cal State schools that are available for transfer. So for me, like a tip on transferring is that make sure you finish your English and math classes like as soon as possible because it's gonna affect like the uh, the chances of you transferring to your school. Like they want you to finish the English requirements, which is English 1A and English 2A, and some math classes too. And I feel like GPA does affect the chances of you transferring because like transferring from a college, I feel like they want potentially like good students and also active students. So make sure you also join clubs so that you can support like your activities in the UC app.
Sure, thank you for your advice. So
Yeah, just to confirm, the question was regarding the GPA, right? How it
Yeah.
affects.
yeah.
Well, I guess like Caitlin said, it's actually pretty important because I feel like, everyone in college aims to transfer one way or another, like no matter how long they take, but mostly their goal would be to transfer. And I think that um because college is relatively easier than university, I think like it's important because you'll be competing with all of your peers. So I think GPA does weigh a lot on the application, although it's not everything, but it's one of the important factors to consider too. So
So as per like business major, do you suggest like, I mean, the maximum kind of GPA you would suggest like everyone to have or something like that? I mean, the range.
yeah, I think like most universities, at least for Berkeley, they aim about 3.8 to 3.9. Like that would be a good GPA to get into Berkeley, I would say. And then like, yeah, but that doesn't close the chances of you who have like a 3.5 GPA to get in. Because I know a few people who, at least one person last year who got into UC Berkeley into the economics major with a 3.5 GPA. So yeah, I honestly think that the application process is a bit randomized. Like a little bit of luck would really help, but of course we have to do our best on our part. So yeah.
Okay, I guess like to add on that, I would say yeah, GPA was really I I don't know if it's true or not. I would say it is somewhat important. Personally, I always try to do my best in community college. I wouldn't think about like, oh, I need to have like a 4.0 GPA. I would still have that ingrained on my mind, but I wouldn't want to take it as like a stress or something. Like just do your best. You know, you did your best, and usually it will like end up being great. And then as of like the application process, I would also wanted to like adding back on what Caitlin said, like trying to get all of your math and English classes finished. Especially like I know some people like, okay, I took Math 1A already, but I don't want to take Math 1B because like it's kind of like difficult or something. I would say try to finish all of them by fall by fall when you are trying to apply, because your transcript, like they will ask you for your transcript in winter, so you could send them your math and your English grade by then. And then also adding back on GPA, it depends on what universities you're applying as well. I know my friend, she applied to USC and she doesn't have a 4.0 GPA or something. And but she kind of like utilized like to her advantage. Like she took E-Write 1A with like this professor from USC. Like this professor graduated from USC. So she actually asked recommendation letter from this professor. So like that professor could advocate for her. Like, oh yeah, she's like one of my students and I believe she could actually succeed at USC, blah, 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 blah. And like that actually increases her chances like getting accepted into that university, regardless of like whether the GPA was like 4.0 or not. And then also I would add, yeah, experiences. I guess joining clubs, it's not about the quantity, but as well as it's not about the quantity, it's more about the quality. I remember I only joined like what, one club at Bianza. And then I also worked as, like Caitlin mentioned, as a student assistant at ISP office. And most of my application process, I would say my experience at ISP and like how that actually like allow me to create a diverse perspectives and stuff like that. And I think university, especially like if you aim for like public universities such as UC Berkeley or any other UCs as well as USC, and even like outside of state, because I actually applied to UT Austin, they all love like diverse perspectives. So like try to be like experience all of the cultural difference in Dianza and like make sure that you're somewhat unique compared to the other students. Don't treat them as your competitors. I wouldn't say that, but just focus on yourself and then make yourself as the best or the most unique person in the room. So like when the admission officers like read your application, they're like, oh, okay, Michelle is like this person, like with this characteristic. Like they would just automatically know like the top 3 of characteristics of you. Don't think too much about the competitors. I would say focus on yourself first.
Yeah, that's really great. Thank you so much. Are we taking the questions in the comment section right now, or?
We can leave it. What question?
Yeah.
Do you think we should take it now?
Yeah, just take it because there's this one.
Yeah, okay, sure. So someone asked that, did you guys complete your I-Get-C or breadth requirements before transferring, or is it required, or do you recommend it?
I can answer this first, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so in my experience, I actually completed my I-Get-C, but then one thing that I didn't complete was the breadth requirements because specifically for high school of business, they ask you to complete the breadth requirements. They follow the breadth requirements instead of I-Get-C. So that's one thing to note if you want to aim to go to Berkeley for business. And but the thing is, they don't actually require you to finish it at Dianza, so that's fine. So you can just choose to complete I-Get-C, but if you have time to complete the breadth requirements, I would recommend you to do that so that you won't have to take it at Berkeley, like what I'm doing right now. So
Sure. So is there anyone wants to add on?
I can add on. So I did finish my I-Get-C requirements, all of them actually. But then you have to be careful on which university you're applying as well. Because some private universities, this like even though you finish all of your I-Get-C, it's only for UC. I-Get-C is only for UC or CSU. But then like if you're going to private university, this still requires like students to get or like to take 2 other GE courses and stuff like that. And then also it's not I-Get-C, it's not like if you're applying to out-of-state university, like for example, like me applying to UT Austin, and when I got in, they told me like, oh yeah, you finish all of your I-Get-C, but like you have to take like, because we're in Texas, the Texas and the California government, like the way that they the way that their education works is not the same. So we kind of have to like make sure on that. But usually if you follow I-Get-C, like 80% or like I would say 90% of those are completed. You just need to take like 2 or like 4 classes at the university, which I wouldn't recommend because it's like, first, it's like more expensive. And then second, it's, I would say, a little bit more difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I actually would like to add to that. So like Christy mentioned, how private universities have different requirements. I think that's an important thing to consider as well, because that's what I did. I also applied to USC, and then like what I did was actually try to find classes that are the same, that overlaps, so it will minimize the number of classes you have to take. So I think that would be really helpful if you could like sort out and have a plan on which universities you want to apply to, and have an earlier plan so that you can plan throughout your semester, your quarters, like which classes you're going to take.
Yeah, sure. It's definitely important to plan ahead. So that brings us to the next question. So what are the things that you guys consider when like choosing a university?
also, do you guys mind like sharing about like which universities you applied to and why do you think you get into that university? More like, yeah. So who wants to go first?
Okay, I can go.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so personally, I aim for public university. I aim for either UT Austin, University of Texas in Austin, or UC Berkeley. However, I got waitlisted at UC Berkeley and I got in for UT Austin. But then I also applied to other, I applied to UC Irvine and other UC, but I also applied to private universities such as USC and NYU. Yeah, I think that's the only private university. So my main top choice schools were actually, USC was actually not my top choice school because I just don't like to spend a lot of money on my education. I would say like, why would I need to spend a lot of money if I could go to UC, which I could get like a great education as well. But either way, it was either UT Austin or USC. And I was, it is so funny, guys. I actually already submit my exit form to UT Austin. But then I would say this, because in terms of like pro and cons, UT Austin has so much pro compared to USC, but then it comes back again to where your heart belongs. I know it sounds so cliche, but it's actually true. Because like I mentioned, I submitted my exit form already to the international office, student office, and then somehow like, I don't know why, whenever like I wrote the UT Austin name, like the university's name on my exit form, like it's just, it feels so hard to let go. It feels so hard to like, I'm leaving California now. Like I couldn't imagine myself studying there. And it feels so difficult, like to the point that I actually like consulted with my professor. I still remember like my accounting professor, like she told me like, are you crazy? You're like leaving UT Austin behind for USC. But then it comes back to your heart. Yeah, you need to take into account all of the pros and the cons, but you also need to make sure that, do you want to, can you imagine yourself studying there? Can you imagine yourself like, okay, getting a degree from there? It's not only about like, okay, most of them are like great school, but do you belong there or not? And then I would say if you couldn't get into your top choice university, don't feel so bad about it, because I'm pretty sure there's like, I would say like God or something, like they would have a plan for you. And like me going to USC, like even though it's not my top choice, like I would say other university like NYU or something would be my first preference. But eventually it actually landed me, like USC landed me a job. Like guys, I couldn't like think about it anymore. Like, okay, never mind. I would go to USC for that. And it also like helped me a lot in terms of like expanding my network or like trying out new classes. Like, yeah, so much opportunity that I couldn't like let myself be sad about it anymore.
Yeah, that's really great. I mean, it's like sometimes we do get accepted in like really good universities outside of California, but then since our heart belongs here, so we just cannot go. So I think that's fine. Yeah. So who wants to go next?
I think I can add on to what Christy said. Like, I feel her a lot. Like, I feel like I experienced the same thing she did. Like, I got rejected by, so my top choice of school was UC Berkeley because UC Berkeley has the best business school. And I only applied to all UC schools. I didn't apply to private schools, or I didn't apply out of state. So I got rejected by UC Berkeley, and I was really sad about it in the beginning. Like, I kind of blame myself for it because like I felt like I could have done better. But then in the same time, like, you know the quote, like, when one door closed, another one opens. Like, yeah, so I really felt that quote. Like, I felt like the I fit in the UCI environment better because I feel like because UC Berkeley is really competitive, like everybody's like so hardworking and everything, and that's not really my style personally. Because if I'm being honest, I'm quite like a laid back person. Like I like to like combine my playtime and my study time. Like I would enjoy studying on the beach, which is like pretty unproductive, but then like it's something. Yeah, and I'm 40 minutes away from Disneyland. So if you guys want to go to Disneyland, hit me up, guys. Yeah, so uh yeah, like I really enjoy the environment in Irvine, like, and I really enjoy boba, and Irvine's like a boba town. So if you guys want good boba, come to Irvine. And yeah, so I'm really grateful. Like sometimes I still feel like I want to go to Berkeley, like just because it's a goal that is implanted on my head from the beginning. I entered the Anza, but then I feel like, yeah, just like go with the flow. Don't be so hard on yourself. Enjoy your time in college, because once you're in uni, everything is like different. So you guys have to like enjoy your time in the Anza. The Anza is like a really good place to live in. I really enjoyed my time in Cupertino, and there's like a lot of good foods too in Cupertino. So you guys should really enjoy that. And yeah, I think other than that, that's about it, I think.
Thank you. And
Okay. So I think from my perspective, it would be a little different. So actually my goal was to get into USC. I was actually USC has been my goal since high school. It was always my top school. So fun fact, I never actually thought about Berkeley. Not because it's not a good school or anything. It's just that I never imagined myself to study at Berkeley. And then I had little knowledge about the business school at Berkeley, but everyone at the Anza was raving about Haas. And then so I looked into it, and then I thought, okay, since I'm gonna do business anyways, I might as well apply to Haas instead of the econs major. So that's what I did. And then I eventually got in. So thank God for that. But yeah, I guess Christie's point was really important. I think it depends on where your heart belongs, because honestly, I pondered upon USC and Haas for a long time, Marshall and Haas for a long time. I waited until the last day to choose, like which offer to accept. But my consideration for choosing Haas was because I know I only have 2 years of university, and I felt like why not, since education wise maybe Haas has a better edge, just a little better. And then I know that the environment is very competitive and everything. So a fun fact about me, I'm pretty much similar to Caitlin. We're pretty much laid back at the Enza. We were pretty chill and everything. We weren't the I would say we weren't in the top 10 percentile of like the most hardworking kids, but we did like try our best in all the subjects that we took. Um, but I felt like being at Haas actually helps me to motivate myself, looking at all these bright and talented people around me actually pushes me to become a better person. So yeah, I think like environment is also very important for your growth. So I know that USC also has a very not a very like huge network, which that's what I like about USC actually. Their network is really strong. But yeah, I think the considerations were like has a more competitive nature, and then USC had a more laid back nature, but their friendships are really strong, their networks are really strong. So yeah, I think it all depends on like your personal goals, I guess. But of course, like I don't regret any of my decisions. Yeah, I still don't know how I would have turned out if I chose USC, or how I would have turned out if I chose another school. But overall, I also only applied to the UCs and USC. So yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we have enough. Okay, now we are like getting really deep into the transfer process thing. So when do you guys think it's the right time for the application, getting started on our application? And when do you think it's the right time? Like suggest the time.
I think I could answer that one. So if I were to do my application again, my advice would be start as early as possible. Guys, don't do it last minute. It's a bad choice. Like, because once you're like 1 week before the deadline is like November, the end of November, I believe.
Yeah.
You start to feel the pressure, like, because it determines like somehow the application determines your future. So please make sure you take your time on it, and please make sure you guys also think about what you're gonna write, because you're gonna be given like for UC, you're gonna be given like 7 questions and you're only supposed to answer 4 in a word limit of 350 words. Yeah, so that's really short for like explaining your life, I guess, in those questions. And your applications really determine on like your essays really help you boost your applications, because I'm pretty sure, I don't know, I like our essays are, sorry, the admission officers will definitely read our essays, so please make sure to take your time on that. And oh yeah, like last year the website actually did crash, so they gave us like a 1 week extension on that. But just to be sure, just to be safe, just submit like as soon as possible. Don't wait the last minute.
So it's already October 15th. So do you, based on today's date, like do you suggest anything?
I feel like just start by like making the Google Docs at least. Like, so you feel like okay, I have to do this. Like, okay, I have to finish this.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I guess my advice is exactly what Caitlin said. Start early, because that's what I didn't do. um, but yeah, I think it's important to plan out what you're gonna write, since the essay has 7 questions. And I guess one tip from me would be like the way I did it. So to be honest, to be completely honest, I actually started like a week before the deadline, and it didn't do me good, guys. It really didn't. I almost had a mental breakdown like halfway in doing it. It was really hard to like try to get things done in such a short time. Like you think that it would be easy to just write about, okay, my experiences, but it's not, because you're like, yeah, pouring out your life story in like 4 essays. You're trying to show who you are in these 4 essays, and you want to really like write about things that make you stand out from the others, and that's kind of a challenge. But one tip from me would be, so the way I did it, I actually listed down all my activities, all my achievements, and all my goals. And then I started from there. I chose four of the most relevant and most significant experiences that I had. And then I implemented those four experiences, goals, and any achievements into like the four essays where it could fit in those essays. And then I started from there. So I think that's one of the biggest tip that I got when I was writing down my UC essays. And then maybe what I would suggest is to always showcase one significant trait that you have in each of your essays. Try not to overlap between the essays so that you can showcase like those different traits that you have, your how you stand out amongst the others. Yeah, I think that's one of the important things to consider too. But other than that, um, for us specifically, we had another essay to write. Yeah, they give you a prompt. They will give you a prompt. For my experience, it was about how I was able to overcome a challenge, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but I think it's different every year. So I think it's important to also start early for that one too, because yeah, and then they give you another chance to like update if you have any more experiences, any more clubs that you're doing, any more activities that you're doing. So I think it's actually important to show like, oh, that you've actually progressed throughout the application process. It gives you an extra edge. And then the last thing would be for Berkeley specifically, at least this is what I heard. They actually have a team of people who evaluate your personalities based on your essays. So I think essays do give a heavy weight on your application process and your transfer process. So that's one thing to put your effort most on, the essays.
I could add on that. Yeah, I would say start early, but I know like if you guys are like me, all of my ideas are just like coming when it's last minute. Like even though I stopped early, like, oh, I feel like it's not good. Like I feel like I would change it. I still remember I changed my UC essay like one of the prompts 3 days before it's due or something. Like I was stressed out back then. I wouldn't lie, I couldn't sleep at that time. I still remember like after I submitted my application, I went to San Francisco and like I just like, you know what, I'm not going to study. I'm not going to do anything. Just don't say anything to me. Like I just need to relax. But yeah, that application process was a hassle and it's super stressful. So maybe start early and brainstorming all of your ideas and start filtering like which one that you think might showcase your personality better. Then yeah. And also one tip from me is try to be vulnerable. And what I mean by vulnerable is like just say what makes you unique and just be open to yourself. Like those admission officers just know you through your essay. They don't really know you in person. So that's your only chance to be vulnerable to your writings. And then I would say, I personally believe my UC essays wasn't the best UC essay. Even like when I submitted my UC essay, I feel not very like happy about it. Like I know I could write better. And then like Michelle mentioned, if you specifically apply to HAS, I feel like I would take the second writing assignment, like the second writing submission as your second chance, because that's what I did. The first, like the UC essay, I would consider myself that's as an exercise to like, oh, what I should expect on what I should write on the UC essay. But then when you apply to Berkeley and the second writing submission is due, I would showcase all of my, I know like what I have to do. I need to be vulnerable. I need to showcase my personality and stuff like that on the second essay. So I treat the second essay as my comeback moment. And that actually like helped me. I would say my second essay was the one that helped me to get the interviewing thing. Because like, I'm pretty sure if I only submitted my UC essay, that wasn't my best thing. And believe it or not, guys, I was waitlisted at UC Irvine. So you guys can imagine, like, if Berkeley doesn't give me like the second submission, I would say they wouldn't even want to give me the interview process or something. So I would treat the second essay really as your comeback moment if you actually screwed your UC essays or something. And then after that, so after the UC essay thing, I actually know like what I should write and be vulnerable and stuff like that. Because at first I wasn't being vulnerable. And then I started to submit all of my NYU, USC, and like all of my other school applications. Like I know like what I should write. So I actually feel satisfied. And you know, like when you feel satisfied with your essays, like when you read the final draft, you just, I don't know, guys, like I would somehow like cry or like I would like, oh my God, Christy, I didn't know like I could write that good or something like that. Like you would feel that kind of feeling that I did a great job or something on my essay and you know like you did your best. But when I submitted my UC essay, I know like it wasn't my best. But yeah, I wouldn't like, even if you didn't even if you didn't do your best at UCSA, there might be some other opportunities where maybe like they give you like another submission or something when they request your grades or like when they requested another essay. That is your comeback moment. Yeah, I would say that.
Okay, so now I want you guys to like list down or just like shortly talk about your major essay regarding the business, like why like about your upper division classes, the like compulsory essays, and then about the extracurriculars you guys did. Can you just like list those down? I mean, just for our like members to understand like what they can do. Yeah, so about your major essay about like why this major or why are you prepared for this like major, and then about your extracurriculars and what you did based on your major. Yeah.
I think it's like in general, what did you guys include in the like mandatory like the major preparation
Yes.
essay, and what other like extracurricular activities did you guys do to strengthen your application in general? Do you have any tips on that?
Yeah,
because I know certainly like business students, in my opinion, they need to have more like extracurricular activities than just regular academic grades, right?
I can start. Wait, are we like typing it on the chat or like?
No.
oh, you can just
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wait. Okay, so what I did when I wrote, okay, my UC essays suck. So I would talk about my other essays when they asked me like why business and stuff like that. So when I answered that question, I would find something that I'm interested, even though I didn't know like what I want to do with my degree, I would search online. Guys, it's maybe cheating, but it's not technically cheating, but it's just a source of inspiration. Like you would type in like, oh, let's say I want to do finance. So I would type in finance major career or whatever. And then it'll show you, like Google will show you all of the careers that you can do in finance. And personally for me, when I type in like finance or like business major career, it'll show me like, oh, with finance, you can do environmental finance or whatever. And that actually interested me on it. When I read about the description, that interested me a lot. And not just for the sake like, oh, it's good for admission, it's good for application process. It's actually really interesting for me. So I wrote about a specific or like niche about finance. So it's not about, oh, finance, because I wanted to like analyze company strategies. I wanted to make up strategies. I wanted to analyze companies business or whatever. Like it's not that. You need to find something that is very unique or like very niche. So I did write about environmental finance and why it actually like interested me a lot and what I want to do with that degree. So like I would list like, for example, this like classes at UC actually classes at UC actually helped me to achieve this and this, which will eventually help me to achieve my goal career as an environmental finance or whatever. And then that is what I wrote in one of my why business major essay. And then for activities, I think I only joined one student organization and I also work part-time as a student assistant at ISP. But the great thing about ISP is that it takes a lot of my time. I wouldn't lie. It takes a lot of my time. And they always have like events, like back in person, they always have some sort of event and I always involved in it. So one way or another, it kind of helps me like, oh, these are my list of activities, what I did in ISP, and and how I contributed to that activity.
Yeah, I think what Christy mentioned is very valid. I think yeah, I think for my why business essay, I used a different approach. I think there's a lot of ways to answer this. Actually, it's just like it depends on how you want to answer it. So for my experience, I actually answered it in a way where tried to show my growth while pursuing business. So for example, I talked about my past, how I initially got interested into business, and then the next part I talked about my current state, like what I'm doing now, to show how interested I am in business. And then the next stage would be like what I'm planning to do in the future with my degree. So it's pretty similar to what Christy's doing. I kind of mentioned how I want to become an entrepreneur with my degree. Yeah, so that's how I approached it. And then I think one of the things that I found out online through research was that the admissions office likes to see your growth. They want to get to know you, right? So I think it's really important to show them like how you've spent your time, what you've been trying to do, like what you're doing with your life basically, and how you plan to evolve after university. So I think that's really important to show your growth. And then maybe a tip for writing essays too would be to show and not to tell, because I know that, yeah, it's going to be stronger if you show. You don't have to like explicitly write, oh, I grew this much throughout this few years. It's more like it's better if you show it through what you're doing. And then I think um, what I'm trying to emphasize is that you should also show through your activities too. So maybe I also didn't join a lot of clubs like Christy. I only joined one club. It was the Business Information Technology Club. And then I only volunteered at UNICEF for one event. So that's actually pretty much all that I did at Pienza for the clubs. But I think because I had a lot of experiences back in high school, which I put everything in. I just put in all the relevant experiences and activities that I had, like student council, and then Habitat for Humanity. I even put down being the co-president of the high school basketball team, because I think even if that sounds irrelevant, I think a leadership position would actually make you look strong too. And then I actually, a fun fact, I also had no internship. So yeah, I didn't put in any internships. I only put in volunteer opportunity, volunteer activities, and any past experiences I had with student clubs. And the last club that I joined was the Indonesian Student Association Club. So yeah, that's all I had for my activities.
Oh, actually, I have a question. So, like most of the counselors, they say, I mean, include the activities after the high school, like you did in the community college. So, what do you say about that? Because you said you included most of those do you did during high school.
Yeah, I think like honestly, I saw how I think college student nowadays, they all have a lot of activities going on. I think it was different back then because we were offline. I guess we had less I feel like the online studying thing makes you like, I have to do something, right? At least that's how I felt. So I think it's really good, and I see that you guys are doing a lot of activities. So I think if you have enough activities that you're doing in college, I would suggest like just putting in everything that you did in college. But then if you're in the case like me and Christy, where we didn't really join a lot of clubs, we didn't have a lot of activities, I think putting in activities from high school would actually help too, because it's not that far. It's just about like 2 years before. So I think it's okay to put them down.
I think the right question might be like, did you, yeah, I would say list down all of your high school experiences as well, because that's what I did. But did you write your essays about your high school experience? Because usually counselors, yeah, I would say counselors don't advise that, but they would still advise listing down all of your high school experience.
Oh, that's great. Shall we move to another question, or?
I think I'm not gonna add on to that because Christy and Michelle pretty much covered everything.
Maybe we can address one question from the chat. Like,
Yeah.
they're asking, like, do you think it will be a good alternative if we apply to economics major, even though we intend to do business? Because
Okay, I think I'm gonna answer that. So business and economics, they're like totally different, guys. They're so different. So don't take economics as like an alternative major, because if you guys don't like if generally you guys don't like economics, like I feel like you wouldn't enjoy taking the major too, because I feel like you should take something that you actually enjoy doing, which is not like something bringing you stress, because learning is like when you learn something that you like, you tend to like understand the subject better, and like you tend to do better at it as well. So don't take it as an alternative major if you don't like economics. But if you really enjoy economics, like you can take it if you want. Like it's totally up to you.
Okay, I would say no. Personally, I don't consider economics at all. Because like even though, like for example, oh, I did apply to business econ at UCLA just for fun though, just for fun. But like even if I got in, I know like I told myself I wouldn't go to UCLA because it doesn't have my major. So I would say focus on your major first and then try to find the universities that you want to apply and have that major. And yeah, because I know like some of my friends, they apply to the econ when they apply to UC, like such as UC Berkeley, they apply to econ instead of like business. But I would say like I would say not focus too much on like getting accepted by the university, but focus more on like what is your intended major.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. I was exactly the same like Christy. So I applied to UCLA, but then I knew inside my heart like I'm never gonna take UCLA, even though UCLA actually did like accept me, but because they offer you econs. And then I heard that the business econs major is hard because you have to claim that major with a consistent GPA on your first semester. So I think that would be another challenge to face. So you're not done once you get into the university. You still have to strive for your own major. And I think that's pretty much the same with Berkeley's economics major. Even though it's harder to get into Berkeley's Haas instead of the economics major, people have been telling me that it's way easier to graduate with a higher grade from Haas rather than like from econs major, because they said it was more challenging in the letters and science department. But yeah, I can't vouch for that because I only heard what my friends told me. So, but yeah, definitely if you don't like economics, don't take in economics as an alternate major. It's important to do what you actually like.
Okay. Yeah. So did you guys apply for any tag or tab? Or
I did actually, which I'm sad about it. I shouldn't apply and waste my money on it. Yeah, I did apply to TAG. I applied to UC Santa Barbara for their accounting something something. Yeah, but at first because like I thought I know to myself, like I'm pretty sure like Christy, you're going to be accepted by one of those schools. Like, just have faith. But at the same time, I wasn't really that confident. So I did apply to TAC. I would say my best advice is, I know like the TAC submission should be like over by now. Like, you guys don't have any chance if you guys want to apply to TAC anymore. But basically, I would say if you feel you have enough information to put on your essays, you don't really need TAC because you're just wasting your money and your time on TAC. I would say that.
Yeah, I also applied to tag at UC Irvine. Like Christy, I wasn't that confident as well. So I thought I had to like submit a tag at least. And then UC Irvine actually doesn't allow you to tag for their business major. They allow you to tag just for econ. And then initially I wanted to do the business information systems at UCI, which they didn't allow tag as well. So I just give that up and like I just tagged econ. So but yeah, the tech actually like guarantees you a position in that school. You get an earlier notification when you're accepted to their school. So if you want a backup plan, I think a tag would be great. But then yeah, if you're confident enough that your essays are good, you can get accepted to the school that you're aiming for, then I would say it would be a waste too.
For me, my story is a little different from Christy and Michelle. So actually, I tagged UC Irvine too. And the major that I'm taking now is my tag major. And yeah, so I wasn't confident at all. And thank God I tagged because like I got rejected by Berkeley. So but I don't know. I don't know why though. When I wanted to sign like my SIR, so you're supposed to pay like for you to register, right? So I think because I tagged, my SRR fee got waived. So I didn't have to pay any fee. And yeah, so pretty much I went to UC Irvine for free, I guess. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's only for me. And I don't know if the system is broken or anything, but yeah, I feel like tag could save you some money if you guys are thinking to tag.
Awesome. So one question is that I'm pretty sure that maybe some of us are looking for scholarships. Do you guys know any opportunities to get scholarships either both at when you were at the Anza or maybe now in your four-year university?
I personally I didn't look into scholarships, but I know that I get a lot of emails on that. So I think Dianza as well as Berkeley, they actually offer a lot of scholarship opportunities. So if you're actually looking for scholarships, I think the schools will really help you because I know there are a lot of types of scholarships which I'm not so familiar about. But yeah, you can definitely look into them at the school's websites or just visit counseling and ask for advice on your scholarship plans. Yeah. Does Christy and Caitlin have experiences with
Oh
scholarship?
yeah, I did. I actually have. Okay, so at the Anza, I didn't apply to scholarship, which I'm kind of like sad about. I wish I could take that opportunity because I know one of my friend, um, I don't know like how to get the resources on scholarship, and I wasn't really bothering on looking for scholarship back then at the Anza. But one of my friend actually applied to scholarship, and she got $1,000 or something. And I was like, oh my God, I could buy an iPhone for that. Okay, that's at the Anza. But then at USC, I was like, you know what? The school fee was like, that's so expensive, guys. Like, yeah, my bank account, like every time I pay my school fees, like crying. But basically, I would say at university, sometimes I know one of the tip was like, when you apply, if you're financially secured or stable, yeah, don't apply for like scholarship first. But when you got into that school, there's a lot of scholarship opportunities. Like even now at USC, I don't know, like I think they waive like, I don't know, 20% of my school fee or something, which actually really helps a lot because now my school fee is like only like around UC-ish and only like a 5,000 difference or something, which really helps a lot. And yeah, they actually offered a lot of great opportunities at least at my school. Like they actually offered a lot of scholarships opportunities. You just need to put in the effort to look into it. And there's only like one essay such as like why you need this scholarship. And sometimes there are also merit scholarship, which is basically based on your leadership as well as your activities and your GPAs. And yeah, USC have that. And yeah, I think like a lot of scholarship opportunities because I don't know, I feel like I gain a lot at USC, even though I spend a lot, but like the scholarship actually helps me to reduce the cost. And like eventually when I draft my calculation, it's somewhat like a similar tuition fee as UC if you take advantage of the scholarship. And that's what I recommend, like maybe like applying with most scholarship, but as soon as you get into that school, try your best to find a scholarship. But at the same time, I know like when it was my application thing for UC, like I mentioned, I got waitlisted at UC Irvine, but eventually they accepted me and they actually offered me like scholarship or whatever, something like that, which I have no idea about. And I know like my friends, some of them applied to UC and let's say like UC San Diego or something, and it wasn't their top choice school. They actually asked for scholarship. They just put in, yeah, I need scholarship. And the funny thing is that they actually, like some universities actually provide scholarship, even though you're international students. So I would say, yeah, if maybe like if you want to play safe, then don't apply for scholarship first. It might increase your chances. I don't know, to be honest, but that's what I feel. But then if you don't really want to go to that university, then yeah, just apply for the scholarship.
Okay, thank you for your advice. So I actually have one question. Like do you guys think like joining the honors program at the Anza, like taking honors courses and get that certificate, is it somehow important for your application? Do you guys have any experience? Like, did you join honors program?
I personally didn't. I don't know if Caitlin and Christy did, but we didn't, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, then that really means that you can definitely go into a good university even though you are not taking honors, just as long as you show yourself, like your strengths in your essays and applications. So let's see.
Actually, I want to add something on that. So it's from my friend's experience. So my friend, she was from IVC, which is Irvine Valley College, and she took honors program, and she transferred to UCI. And because she took the honors program, since IVC is the top transfer from IVC is to UCI, they have like a scholarship program. So because she took the honors program, her quarter fee is cut down by like 20%, like Christy. So I feel like, if I'm not sure about the Anza and how it works, but I feel like you should do your research and like see the benefits of like taking the honors program and see if like there are any scholarship opportunities that you can get from your program, because in other schools they give you that opportunity. So I think that's something really interesting that you guys can do. It's pretty much too late for me, Christy and Michelle, right now. So yeah.
Oh, I could add on that. I just remembered one of my friends. So she actually applied. She's a mathematics major or something, and she applied to UCLA. Like UCLA is like her top choice school. And I don't know if you guys heard it or not. Usually the stigma or the stereotype is like UCLA only accepts 3.9 and above GPAs. Like if you have a perfect GPA, you have higher chances to go into UCLA. But my friend, I actually admired her a lot because she doesn't care too much about her GPA. She just did her best. And what she did is like, I don't know if you guys know Bertlow. I don't know if he's still teaching or not, but he's basically the killer um, teacher, professor for math 1A, 1B, and whatever. And so she actually took Bertlow and she got a B. And her GPA wasn't like a 3.7 or 3.8 or something. But she also took other honors classes. And she did somewhat well. Like, let's say like it's not a perfect A, but it's like an A minus or like an A sometimes. And that honors, I think, and she told me that honors might help her, like even though it's not a perfect A, that honors help her get into UCLA because it's not only like, oh, the honors and you have to get an A, because they know like honors program are usually a little bit more difficult. So even if you got an A minus, that's okay. Like they might think you actually put in the effort to go a little bit further compared to other students. So yeah, overall, it might give you an advantage, but try to do your best as well in that honors. Don't die, basically.
Yeah, definitely. So as you're now already in a university, could we know how your experience is and what do you think the differences is, so we can like better adjust ourselves later? Does anyone want to go first?
Okay, I can go. So this is about experience at university, right? How it compares to college.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's really different. Okay, the vibe that I got from college was we were all chill and very laid back. At least that was how it was like for me. It was pretty chill. We had a lot of fun. Of course, like maintaining a good GPA and balancing it with your social life was all we cared about. But then in university, it's like, for me at least, I feel like the people are more individual. It's not, we're all friends, but it's more like we're doing our own thing and at our own time. So it's more like, I remember how at college, we were kind of dependent on our friends. At least for me, I had a group of friends who we would do everything together and like just spend our time together, whether it was school or going out for lunch. But in university, I feel like it's gonna be a little bit different in the sense that people will actually like do things on their own. So you can't expect to be dependent upon other people. So I think that's a good good factor to like think about before entering university. You have to like prepare yourself to be more independent and to be able to like stand on your own, I think. Yeah. But then of course, like the major difference would be like university facilities are way bigger. They have a lot of buildings, like, and then they have a lot more facilities that you can utilize. Yeah, but I think that's one of the biggest difference that really got my eye. So how is it like for you, Christy? USC.
Well, yeah, I would say USC was like, we're like the work hard, play hard people. So like, yeah. So I would say a major huge difference. It's like a bang on my door. Like when I go to university, it's like, oh my God. Yeah, like Michelle said, it's more independent. You have to try to work as best as you can. Don't depend too much on people. Doesn't mean that you don't want to do a study group or something. But try if you could actually like understand the material on your own. That is actually so much better. And I would say, especially at my school, it is somewhat competitive. I would say, yeah, I was in my first semester, I was somewhat stressed because we're kind of like the way that our professor, like the way that Marshall works is they curve your grade to a B plus. So I still remember I got a 94 on my econ class. That's not an A, guys. That's an A minus because they curve the grade to a B plus average. So basically, your friends are your competitor. So sometimes your friends doesn't want to teach you some stuff, and you know it sometimes. You got a feeling if your friends doesn't want to teach you. So I would say, yeah, try to be independent. And there's a lot of resources. Your professor sometimes might want to help you. Some professors don't, but they also have like peer academic, basically a teaching assistant or a peer teachers or something. They would help you a lot. And yeah, that's my advice on schools. And also, I would say at schools or at university, like Michelle said, lots of resources. I would say take advantage of that. At USC, like sometimes they said like, oh, the network, the Trojan network, and blah blah blah. Personally, for me, I would say it's not, maybe like for some students, the network might be beneficial. But for me, as an international student, there's like somewhat cultural barrier between when I wanted to network with other people. I don't know, that's just me. But I would say take advantage of the other resources. It's not only about like meeting new people, it's also about taking advantage of your basically broaden your experience. It's not about knowledge and knowledge, it's about like the work that you did. So for me at USC, like they sometimes have like other I would say like partnering up with other companies or something, and the companies would actually like, hey, do you want to apply to our, it's not an internship, it's more of like an externship. An externship is different from internship because externship is only like 3 to 7 days, um, some sort of like an internship, 3 to 7 days internship with those huge companies. And you could just apply. It wasn't that cutthroat or competitive. I basically took advantage of that, especially in the online environment. Like I feel like I could really maximize my time a lot in the online environment. So I did apply to all of those experience and work experience, which was really beneficial to have that on your resume when you apply to job. So if you are the type of person like me that wasn't really comfortable talking to people and like network with people, I would say try to go to other route by exploring other options such as work experience or like, I don't know, like something that is related where you could apply your knowledge to the real world. Usually universities has a lot of that resources. And I'm pretty sure one of my friends from UC Berkeley, like EECS major, they said, yeah, UC Berkeley have that, but we just don't have the time for it because like you guys are so busy or something. But yeah, I would say take advantage of that if you have the opportunity.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. I think Michelle, there is one question you might answer in the chat.
Yeah, I think um I haven't heard of not actually getting admitted into HAS. Maybe that's for freshmen, because I heard that as freshmen you might have to claim your major once you get in. Maybe that's the case. But for my case, I think as long as your letter of acceptance says that you get into the Haas School of Business, then you'll definitely get into it. But of course, if the case was like not getting into Haas, I don't think I'll be at Berkeley. Yeah, because my consideration was only because I got into Haas. That's why I chose Berkeley. Because to be honest, like I'm not a really big fan of Berkeley and the town. I've always wanted to live in LA, like USC, because I enjoy a fun environment and I'm more chill than I'm more competitive. So, but then like it all depends too, if you think you can handle it, I say just go for it. But yeah, my suggestion would be if it's not has, then why bother, right?
Sure. So, does anyone have any more questions from? Feel free to unmute yourself, or you can type it in the chat.
Oh, I think someone asked about like certificate or something. I can answer that. So for certificate, I personally got an associate degree from the Anza, but that wasn't my first, like I wasn't really aiming for that at first. It just happened somehow. Like I just was trying to like finish my I get C and like all of my courses as fast as I could. And yeah, so what I aim is like, okay, universities usually aim for me to finish my English and math classes. So I take that first and then I prioritize, oh, I should take this core classes first and then my GEs the last. And I don't know what happened in the middle of this, if in the middle of the year or something. I feel like I could take like 5 classes or 4 to 5 classes, and usually business major don't have a lot of courses. So when I took that 4 to 5 classes, eventually I could get like 1 quarter, like I could finish like in basically I don't really need my last quarter at the Enza, but then I don't know what happened back then. They said like the immigration, like they requires me to have at least like certain unit requirement. So that's what I did. If I want to take like an associate degree, I only need to take 1 additional classes aside from my, actually 2 additional classes, business law and CIS3, 2 additional classes from the regular transfer processes, which I think it's not bad at all. Like 2 classes, business law and CIS3 wasn't that bad. And I actually ended up taking that route and it got me to my associate. And the question if it really helps with admission, I don't think so. I personally don't think it really helped me a lot in my admission processes. And it just helped me because it's just like for the sake of myself, like I got a degree, guys. But it wasn't really that important because when you have your bachelor degree, your associate doesn't really matter. People won't even look at that anymore. People would look at your bachelor's degree. And to emphasize again, it doesn't really help a lot on the application process.
Yes, thank you so much. So does anyone else have any questions or comments, anything like that? Maybe by the time you are panelists, you can just like say your last words or like, I mean, something you want to say. I mean, just some cool advice you want to give.
Okay, I'll give you guys an advice. I guess for me, as college students, you wanna always stay on track with what you're doing. But my tip would be to do everything that you're doing, do it with your whole heart, because yeah, you just try to do your best at everything you do, and I feel like God will give you a way if it's meant to be for you. If it's in plan for you, then you'll get it. Don't stress things. Always maintain a balance, guys. It's not healthy to like stress over something and like forget your social life, things like that. I think a balance would be really great for you, and I think just enjoy the process. You guys will do amazing regardless of what school you go to. I think your school doesn't define who you are. Like it's all in the end. Like you can choose to create good things. Like it doesn't depend on which school you go to. It's just the resources that you have. But as long as you want to do what you as long as you're like determined to do what you want, you can always get it. So yeah, good luck to all of you.
Sure. So, does anyone have any final words? Or
Okay, I could say something. Yeah, what Michelle said was really valid. Doesn't have to be your first school if you don't get in, but of course, if you get in, I'm really happy for you. And if you didn't get in, try to see it as I would say like a blessing in disguise. So, like I mentioned, UT Austin was my top choice school, which is in Texas. I didn't want to go to Texas, but seeing how it works now, I actually got my full-time job at Texas, just like kind of weird at the same time. And yeah, take full advantage of the resources because I know my friend who graduated from San Jose State University. Here he got into Google. Guys, I would spend, I would go to San Jose if I could, I would go to SJSU if I could get work at Google. In the end, take advantage of the resources that you have at the university. Even at Pienza, take a lot of that resources. Go to like club meetings, go to like events or something, expand your network. And when you go to that event, somehow you contributed something, and that would actually give you inspiration for your UCSAs and stuff like that. But yeah, in the end, it depends on how much effort you put in, how much you want to go far away from like how much you want to like put the efforts and like the commitment into it. It might be stressful, but it'll pay off if you got it.
I guess for me, what Michelle and Christy said is totally true, guys. Like, follow their advice and also make sure to have fun. Like, I feel like in college, you get like like what Michelle said in the beginning, your best friends, like friends that you can count on, like anytime, anywhere. Like, even though if you guys transfer to like different schools in different cities or different states, they'll always have your back.
Yeah. So thank you so much, guys. I mean, all of you three great ladies doing so great in your own life. Could we have contact information, something like LinkedIn? Oh,
Yeah.
do you guys want to share? In that case, I mean, I think you can just like leave in the chat box.
I'll share my link probably.
Okay, so yeah. So are we wrapping up, Nicole, or
Yeah.
if nobody
sure.
has any questions?
Yeah, I think that is all for today. And for the like LinkedIn thing, we can also like email their LinkedIn profiles to your emails if that's okay with all panelists. Sure, thank you.
Okay.
So I hope you all have a great time today learning more about the transfer process, especially for business major. And also thank you so much for our amazing panelists for joining us today, for sharing all these like precious advices, really insightful. So yeah, thank you all. Once again, we thank you all, everyone for joining us today. And yeah, happy Friday. Have a nice weekend. And we wish you all the best. And we hope to see you guys soon in our upcoming events. Have anything to say, Sarina?
I think that's it. And all of you panelists did really great. And it was really insightful. I hope all of you joining us today and listening to our panelists, you had a great time. It was like really a great help for you during this time of transferring or like writing your applications. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for like sharing your words. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good luck, everyone.
Yeah, good luck.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.